Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. Kansas City Chiefs training camp is going on in St. Joseph, Missouri, and that means two things. Number one, it is officially hype season in Kansas City, and number two, Hollywood Brown is injured. Because of that, and because Xavier Worthy has missed a few days as well, and because there are suspension concerns with RASHEE Rice, we are going to take an in-depth look at Jalen Royals, a guy who is, as the article with which we will start says, gaining the trust of Patrick Mahomes. Now, what I have done here is I have taken part of an article from Arrowhead Pride. We're going to look at Jalen Royals, and then we're going to look at what some of the things were that were said about Jalen Royals prior to him even being a Kansas City Chief, just to get a little bit of the hype going. In an article titled Jalen Royals is Gaining the Trust of Patrick Mahomes and His Teammates, subtitled Kansas City's rookie wide receiver is making big strides during the team's training camp in St. Joseph, from Arrowhead Pride by John Dixon, we get the following. Now, I cut in a few paragraphs, so we're starting with a strange word to start with, but General Manager Brett Veach has continued to add wide receiver talent to the team. In 2023, SMU's RASHEE Rice fell just short of becoming Kansas City's first rookie to collect 1,000 receiving yards. Unfortunately, he was also the only wideout to total at least 500 on the season. In 2024, first-round draft pick Xavier Worthy unexpectedly had to shoulder the load after Rice was injured by Week 4. By then, the team had already lost recently signed wideout Hollywood Brown to injury on the opening snap of the preseason. Mahomes ended up hitting career lows in both passing yards and touchdowns. But Rice, Worthy, and Brown are all back for 2025, and Veach has added fourth-round pick Jalen Royals to the roster. Halfway through training camp, the former Utah State wide receiver is drawing terrific reviews from his coaches and from his teammates. He's catching the ball well, noted Coach Andy Reid after Sunday's training camp practice at Missouri Western State University in St. Joseph. He's strong and it looks like the quarterbacks trust him. That's a big part of it. As you watch, you just kind of see who the quarterbacks are going to, and there's a certain trust that they're developing in that kid. So that kind of speaks for itself. I think he's a visualizer, observed offensive coordinator Matt Nagy after the first week of training camp. So when he sees it, it takes him one time, then the next time he comes back and does a good job. So what that article was talking about is how the Kansas City Chiefs have had trouble at the wide receiver position because of injuries, etc., the past maybe 3 years. But that is going to change, hopefully, this year with all three of their top receivers being healthy and adding Jalen Royals through the draft. But who is Jalen Royals? And I know I bring up the measurables an awful lot. I talk about the numbers all the time, and we're going to. But the one thing that I think is definitely worth looking at here and taking with you, if nothing else, is the RAS score in total. RAS scores are out of 10. They are a relative athletic score. You see it up here in the top left. He scores a 9.01. That is an elite number. The green means elite. The yellow means good. The red means bad. His only score in the red is his height, which is 6 foot. 6 foot flat. There are plenty of successful wide receivers in the NFL that are under 6 feet tall. So I don't think that his height is anything really to be worried about. And neither, obviously, do the coaches. 205 pounds so his height scores 4.82 out of 10, but his weight scores 7.49. This is a stout-built wide receiver. He also did 13 reps on the bench press. It's kind of an okay number. It's neither really here nor there for wide receivers, but it does show that he is competitive. He had a 36-inch vertical leap, which is a decent score, but you'd like to have a little bit more. A 10-foot 1-inch broad jump, a decent score again, but he's had a 4.42 40-yard dash with a 2.56 20-yard split and a 1.53 10-yard split. Those are all great numbers for the wide receiver position, whether you're 205 pounds or not. But when you add to the fact that he is a 205-pound guy, he's also not a 5'9" guy. The 5'9" guys are oftentimes the ones who run elite 40s. He's not 5'9", he's 6 feet tall. He can be a possession wide receiver or a speed wide receiver for this team, and we are seeing both of those come out in training camp. He has caught long passes for the Chiefs. He has also caught short passes and turned them into long gains. I think he will do all of that in the NFL. He had a 4.25 short shuttle and a 6.94 3-cone drill. Both of those are in that good-ish category, but don't be confused, because if you're not going to score well at those drills as a wide receiver, you just don't do them. This skews these numbers towards the elite of elite times, because if you're going to do an elite time, you go ahead and do it. If you're going to do a bad time, you don't do it, meaning that it's only the good scores against which these wide receivers are graded. Moving on. This is from NFL.com. Prior to him being drafted, no one knew he was going to be a Kansas City Chief at this time. This is from Lance Zierlein, who had projected him as a second or third rounder. The Chiefs got him in the 4th round. Overview from Lance Zierlein. Skilled and instinctive, Royals might lack the desired explosiveness, but he makes up for it with his body control and feel for the game. He has good size and is keenly aware of defenders around him, which allows him to adjust routes and improve his chances on contested catches. He's a decent route runner, but doesn't have the short area foot quickness to burst to open wide windows for his quarterback. Patrick Mahomes doesn't need that. Patrick Mahomes is going to put it on you. He's excellent as a zone beater and uses plus body control and play strength to bring in catches in traffic. Royals is a smooth athlete who can play inside or outside and is best suited for an offense that will value him as a possession receiver over the first 2 levels. That's everything you need if you were the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you're getting a possession receiver in the 2nd round, you're looking at RASHEE Rice. RASHEE Rice was a possession receiver taken in the 2nd round of the NFL draft, had nearly 1,000 yards as a rookie. RASHEE Rice is basically the exact same build as Jalen Royals, but he's a little bit slower. He's about 1/10 of a second slower. And maybe I shouldn't make this joke, if you take RASHEE Rice's off-the-field actions into account, it would seem maybe he's a lot slower. Make some better decisions, RASHEE, but we will see how that impacts the Chiefs this year. That is yet to be seen. From NFLDraftBuzz.com, what I'm going to do here is read the scouting report summary, and then I want to read you some of the negatives that they have to say about Jalen Royals, and we're going to ask, if these are the negatives, are they really all that bad? So they have him projected as a second to late. This is kind of what they do on that site. They put your high end first, and then they kind of just put late on most prospects. But they have him as a second rounder. They have him rated as the 65th overall prospect and the number 9 wide receiver. They say of him, Royals is going to make some offensive coordinator very happy as a field stretcher. So here, they're calling him a field stretcher. Lance Zierlein, that will utilize him as a possession target. So depending on who's looking at Jalen Royals, they have him pegged as something different. A field stretcher who can house it from anywhere on the field. After watching every snap from his last 2 seasons, what jumps out is how he's developed into more than just a straight line burner. So he was at one point a straight line burner. His basketball background shows up constantly the way he sets up breaks, maintains speed through cuts, and creates after the catch reminds me of a point guard working in space. In the right system, he's going to be a nightmare on deep overs and slot fades. Those are not possession receiver routes. He can build up speed and work away from leverage. The fit that keeps jumping off my notes is San Francisco. Imagine him running those deep cross routes concepts off of Shanahan's play action game, or Detroit, where Ben Johnson could deploy him as a movable chess piece who can stretch the field vertically. We're going to talk about some Detroit receivers in a moment. While working those catch and run concepts underneath, he'd eat up those voids created by their run game. The Ravens are another scheme fit. Their vertical passing game needs exactly what Royals brings to the table. The tape shows a player who's just scratching the surface. Sure, he needs work defeating press, and his route breaks could be sharper. Every rookie in the NFL you can say this about, basically. But you can't teach that explosive gear he hits or the natural feel he shows for manipulating space. Some evaluators will get hung up on the level of competition, but that 211-yard game versus Boise State's NFL caliber secondary told me everything I needed to know. Trust your eyes on this one. He's going to outplay his draft position. They're saying he's going to outplay his draft position while they have him rated a second-round prospect, just like RASHEE Rice performed like a first-rounder. There's not a lot of second-rounders who get 1,000 yards in their rookie season, or nearly 1,000 yards in their rookie season. There's a lot of first-rounders who do. So they're saying he's going to they're saying he's going to outplay what they had as a first or as a second-round talent. Then we get this from CBS Sports. Jalen Royals, NFL Draft 2025 profile, full scouting report, pro comp, future outlook for Utah State wide receiver. Royals is set to hear his name called on day 3 of the NFL Draft, so this was published or likely republished when Royals did not go in the top 2 rounds, or the top 3 rounds. From CBS Sports by Dave Richard and Dan Snyder. Comparable body type, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Position number 7, overall number 66. So you have, once again, right there around that second or third round range. NFL comparison, Golden Tate. Saying Golden Tate lined up everywhere. That's exactly what we're talking about with Jalen Royals. And made plays both off short and long throws. This is what the Kansas City Chiefs need, someone who can play every position on the offense. Hopefully, he can fill in for RASHEE Rice in that X position while RASHEE Rice is suspended. Maybe if Hollywood Brown misses time, he's going to step in for Hollywood Brown. He will be able to play all of the roles in the Chiefs' offense. Golden Tate lined up everywhere and made plays both off short and long throws. His quicks and jukes brought him space to extend plays. Royals might not play all over the field or with as much flair and spunk as Tate, but he could certainly evolve into a versatile weapon who can have a long career with some 1,000-yard seasons, much like Tate. Jalen Royals' scouting report. Accolades aren't all that impressive, but set program record with 15 receiving touchdowns, led FBS with 7 receiving touchdowns of 50-plus yards. Strengths: built very well with a stocky, thick upper body and chunky legs. predominantly worked wide, over 82% of his snaps each of the past 3 years. There are a lot of wide receivers drafted into the NFL these days that have mostly slot experience. That way they are freed up from the man press at the college level. Many believe he'll work better as a slot receiver in the league. I think they're just going to put him everywhere. Royals' smooth feet and short area quickness, both off the snap and at the break point in his routes, were his best traits and his primary means of getting open as well as adding yards after the catch. It would show up in his comebacks to the quarterback. This is a lot of what you see RASHEE Rice doing, typically in 3 steps, and in jukes to fake out or freeze defenders. A good coaching staff can maximize his skills and really turn him into a yak beast. Remember, early in Mahomes' career, one of the things for which he drew a lot of criticism was the fact that, it's the wide receivers doing all the work. He just hits the wide receivers and they get all of this yak yardage. Well, it's easier said than done. You have to hit a wide receiver in stride at the right point in his route for him to be able to keep running. It really is that simple. Solid leaping ability helped him land top shelf targets, tracked the ball awesomely on deep throws, was particularly so remember, Mahomes is trying to open the offense up. So if you have a guy that tracks the ball well downfield, he's going to get targets downfield. Was particularly great at setting and nabbing off-target throws, often using late hands so as not to tip off defenders. This is a very surprisingly underrated skill for wide receivers. Late hands, what does that mean? That means you just keep running until you have to put your hands out to catch the ball immediately. Because the moment you put your hands out like this, defensive backs are going to be putting their hand between yours. That's what they get paid millions of dollars to figure out how to put their hand right there while running full speed. And if they can do it well, and they can even look as if they've got their head back, they are multi-millionaires. Succeeded on scramble drills. Well, who likes to run around in the pocket and then let the ball go? Might it be Patrick Mahomes? Sometimes using subtle push-offs to buy steps and become an available target for his quarterback. We won't talk about that. Consistently displayed good balance to help him bounce off defenders and stay on his feet for extra yards after the catch. Not afraid of contact and would frequently run through weak tackles. Foot injury suffered on in 2024 needs to be checked out, but he practiced and played in the 2025 Senior Bowl. It's the only reported injury Royals has had, meaning he has been very durable. Hollywood Brown, not so much. Xavier Worthy weighs 133 pounds. So there are Juju Smith-Schuster has missed time with injury. Last year, RASHEE Rice missed 13 games and the entire playoff run with injury. Having someone who is notably sturdy is a good thing. Low-key personality who's focused on getting better and hustling off the field to do it. Roller skating enthusiast. You know what roller skating doesn't sound like? Racing cars. So, concerns. Now, personally, I would have put this down here. Being a roller skating enthusiast is a bit of a concern for me. But let's look at some of these concerns and see how concerning they really are. I picked this one out, so I didn't take all of them. Just for transparency, I want to tell you that up front. Also, mildly concerning is the style of offense he played at Utah State. Spread formations where he lined up next to the sideline and often targeted inside of 10 yards. He must be able to adjust from that to more common NFL formations and splits if he is to thrive at this level. That doesn't sound like a concern at all. From a spread offense, yeah, he's going to be playing with Patrick Mahomes. He lined up outside. Oh, that's great. It's much easier to turn a wide receiver from a numbers guy to a slot guy than from a slot guy to a numbers guy. Lined up real wide. Oh, that's even better. If he's not used to having field outside of him, then he's never been able to work with more field beside him. That's a strength, not a weakness. He has played a harder position than the one that he's probably going to walk into in the NFL as far as where he's lining up on the field. Royals' route tree has room to grow. He mastered hitches in the last 2 years at Utah State and does have an experience with myriad of other assignments. But a lack of corner and out routes is a little alarming, as is a limited number of slants, digs, posts, and crossers. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I'm not the biggest football mind in the world. I have to admit that. It's not like I played professional football or anything like that. The hardest route on that list to run is a hitch. That's the hardest one there. To run, yes, it's a hitch. You have to stop your momentum immediately. You have to get your head around, and the quarterback has likely already thrown the ball by the time you turn around. That's the hardest route there to run. You think it's a slant? What is it, a post? No. He's got the athleticism to win on any route, so it's just a matter of diversifying, not a huge deal. So that's a huge criticism, that he can do it all, he just hasn't. Royals' 68% catch rate on a 9.38 ADOT average depth of target suggested good hands. He also was good at using late hands to keep defenders guessing on when the ball was coming. So far in this criticism, there's no criticism. But there were some inconsistencies in his technique. He brought plenty of passes into his chest. 80% of college, 90% of college, 95% of college receivers do that. Trust me, I look at these guys every year when they're coming out. And in his inability to win contested catches, Royals also had a few easy passes bounce off his hands. He was credited with 3 drops in 2024 and 5 in 2023. Mahomes has had receivers credited with way more drops than 3. He's very good. He has very good timed speed, 4.42. Well, that's a good thing, but that wasn't his top trait to help him separate. Then you can coach him into it. Would sometimes have just enough burst to get a half step on defenders, but was more often tightly covered downfield, including in single coverage situations. Obviously, was tough to wrangle when in space after the catch, but did not consistently show getaway speed and was caught from behind a number of times. A significant concern given the competition he played against in the Mountain West. I am less concerned about that in the Mountain West than if he were not able to break tackles. The speed is the speed of the game. You're going to find plenty of players in the Mountain West that run 4.3 and 4.4 40s, just like you will in any other conference, any bigger conference, any major conference. So if you can outrun them is one thing. If you can break their tackles is another. If you can't break their tackles is another, and Jalen Royals was very good at breaking tackles. Now, guys, that is the deep dive that I have on Jalen Royals. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.